A day after South Korea and the United States concluded military exercises involving an American aircraft carrier, North Korea launched 8 short-range ballistic missiles into the sea off its east coast. In this video, we'll take a look at how North Korea's ballistic missile test is a threat to the US. Curious to know? Let's find out. The missiles were fired in succession over 35 minutes on Sunday from at least 4 different locations, including the western and eastern coasts, as well as 2 inland areas north of and near the capital Pyongyang, according to South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff. The missiles flew 110 to 670 kilometers at maximum altitudes of 25 to 80 kilometers, reaching speeds of Mach 3 to 6. In response, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol called a National Security Council meeting and ordered expanded deterrence of South Korea and the United States, as well as continued reinforcement of the United States' defense posture. The meeting concluded that North Korea's missile launch was a test and challenge to South Korea's new administration, which took office last month. Nobuo Kishi, Japan's defense minister, said the act cannot be tolerated. According to Kishi, none of the missiles fell within Japan's exclusive economic zone, but at least one missile had a variable trajectory, indicating that it could maneuver to avoid missile defenses. The nuclear-powered aircraft carrier USS Ronald Reagan completed a 3-day naval drill in the Philippine Sea with South Korea on Saturday, reportedly their first joint drill involving a carrier since November 2017. Pyongyang's launch also coincided with the departure of the U.S. point man on North Korean affairs, Special Representative Sung Kim from Seoul on Saturday. On Friday, he met with the South Korean and Japanese counterparts, Kim Gun and Takehiro Funakoshi, to prepare for all contingencies amid signs that North Korea is planning a nuclear test for the first time since 2017. During the visit, Kim stated that Washington has made it clear to Pyongyang that it's open to diplomacy and that he was willing to discuss issues of interest to Pyongyang, such as sanctions relief. Last week, the US proposed additional UN sanctions against North Korea for its ballistic missile launches, but China and Russia vetoed the proposal. Sunday's launch was Pyongyang's 18th round of missile tests in 2022, including the country's first intercontinental ballistic missile demonstrations in nearly 5 years. According to South Korea and US officials, there are indications that North Korea is also moving forward with preparations at its nuclear testing site in the northeastern town of Punggye. The North's next nuclear test would be its 7th since 2006 and the first since September 2017, when it claimed to have detonated a thermonuclear bomb small enough to fit on one of its ICBMs. Air defense, anti-ship, anti-submarine, and maritime interdiction operations were part of the joint US-South Korea naval drills in international waters off the Japanese island of Okinawa. Yoon, who took office on May 10, agreed with US President Joe Biden to expand bilateral military exercises to deter North Korea. North Korea has criticized previous joint exercises as evidence of Washington's hostile policies toward Pyongyang. North Korea forewent diplomatic niceties in favor of a combative tone as it assumed leadership of the Conference on Disarmament. "My country is still at war with the US," Pyongyang's Ambassador Han Tae-song declared. Around 50 countries have expressed outrage that nuclear-armed North Korea will preside over the world's most important multilateral disarmament forum for the next 3 weeks. North Korea assumed the rotating presidency of the Geneva-based Conference on Disarmament on Thursday, following a decades-old practice among the body's 65 members based on alphabetical order of country names in English. When US and South Korean leaders meet on Saturday, May 21, North Korea's nuclear and missile programs, which are already a major focus, may receive additional attention if intelligence predictions of a major weapons demonstration by the North, which is fighting a COVID-19 outbreak, are correct. The North Korean government denied independent journalists access to cover the event depicted in this image. Despite North Korea's automatic presidency of the conference, dozens of non-governmental organizations urged countries to walk out and protest. There was no dramatic exit, but many nations chose to send only lower-level diplomats, while the United States, The European Union, the United Kingdom, Australia, and South Korea, among others, used the occasion to chastise Pyongyang for its numerous ballistic missile tests and feared preparation for a new nuclear test, the first since 2017. We remain gravely concerned about the Democratic People's Republic of Korea's reckless actions, which continue to seriously undermine the very value of the disarmament conference, said Amanda Gourley, the Australian ambassador speaking on behalf of the group of countries. She stated that her decision to remain in the room should not be interpreted as tacit consent to North Korea's violations of international law. Pyongyang's ambassador, who opened Thursday's meeting in the UN's unique human rights chamber in Geneva, simply said, "The president takes note of your statement." In Washington, State Department spokesman Ned Price said North Korea's participation called the organization's utility into question. When you have a regime like the DPRK in a senior leadership position, a regime that has done as much as any other government around the world to erode the non-proliferation norm, he said. North Korea, one of the world's most militarized countries, has conducted a number of missile tests since the beginning of the year. The United States and South Korea say they fired 3 missiles, possibly including their largest intercontinental ballistic missile, just hours after Joe Biden concluded a visit to the region late last month. An undated photo released by the official North Korean Central News Agency on May 20, 2022 shows military medical personnel handing out medical supplies at a pharmacy in Pyongyang, North Korea, to combat the current coronavirus disease health crisis. The United States and others have warned Pyongyang that it is planning its first nuclear test in 5 years. Gourley urged North Korea to observe a moratorium on nuclear test explosions in the joint statement issued on Thursday. After repeatedly taking note of the criticism as president, North Korean Ambassador Han took the floor in his national capacity to insist on North Korea's right to defend itself against U.S. threats. He pointed out that Pyongyang has been officially at war with the US since the 1953 ceasefire that ended combat and divided the Korean peninsula. No country has the right to criticize or interfere in North Korea's national defense policy, he said. The Conference on Disarmament, which is not a UN body but meets at its headquarters in Geneva, is a triennial multilateral disarmament forum. It negotiates arms control and disarmament treaties with a focus on ending the nuclear arms race. According to the Yonhap news agency, North Korea said it detected signs North Korea had conducted an experiment with a detonation device in preparation for a possible nuclear test hours after the missile tests. South Korea's Deputy National Security Advisor Kim Tae-yo also stated that the missile launches on Wednesday appeared to have involved the newly developed Hwasong-17 intercontinental ballistic missile. North Korea may conduct a missile or nuclear test or both during or shortly after Biden's 5-day visit to the region, according to US and South Korean officials. The United States condemns the DPRK's multiple ballistic missile launches, a U.S. State Department spokesperson said late Tuesday, using the official name of North Korea, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. We urge the DPRK to stop provocations and engage in sustained and substantive dialogue. The Joint Chiefs of Staff of South Korea said in a statement that the 3 missiles tested on Wednesday were fired from the Sunan area of Pyongyang and flew toward waters off North Korea's eastern coast between 6 and 7 a.m. They claimed that one of them had flown 223 miles at a maximum altitude of 335 miles and was thought to be an intercontinental ballistic missile. Officials in Japan said the missiles appeared to have landed outside the country's exclusive economic zone, and there had been no reports of ship or aircraft damage. Yoon Suk-yeol, South Korea's new president, condemned the test following a meeting of the National Security Council on Wednesday. Yoon's office stated that he and officials strongly condemned the missile launches as a grave provocation that violates UN Security Council resolutions, raises tensions on the Korean peninsula and in Northeast Asia, and threatens international peace. After 5 years of failed diplomacy, Yoon, who was sworn in this month, has vowed to get tough with Pyongyang. According to Yonhap, the South Korean military had dispatched approximately 30 F-15K fighter planes in response to the launches. And with that being said, it's time to end our video. But before that, we'd like to know your opinion about this. Let us know in the comments and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more amazing videos like this. We'll see you in the next video.